The Premier will make his statement, and then you, the members of the press, will be given the opportunity to ask questions. And I must indicate here, questions, not editorials. We're kindly asking that for those of you who circumstances allow, no, not circumstances allow, please turn your phone to silent or turn them off. Ladies and gentlemen, join me, please, in welcoming to the podium the Honorable Premier, Mark A.G. Brantley.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone, and thank you all for coming on a Friday. I know people have lots of things to do on a Friday, so I'm delighted that you can join me for our monthly press conference. You would realize that we were unable to have one during the month of February. We're here on the 1st of March because we think that this is an important engagement and a commitment that we've made, and one that we hope to continue to keep. I would ask the press and the public to forgive me for not coming in February and to blame it on the fact that February is a short month. So I am here. I want to start off by extending our sincere condolences to Mr. Irvin Ounce Weeks. I believe that he is ordinarily here with us on a day like this when we would have a press conference. I woke this morning to the news that he has lost his young wife. And I want to, from this rostrum, extend my very deep condolences to him and to his family. This is clearly a difficult time, and I would ask all of us to support him and his family in our prayers. And as I like to say, it is my hope that the prayers of the multitude will provide some comfort to him. To his team at NTV, I know it's a sad time for all of you. It's a sad time indeed for all of us. And I extend my very deepest condolences to him. So I start today on a sad note. And I reflected this morning that sometimes when these things happen, it reminds all of us of our own mortality. And sometimes we get consumed with whatever it is we're involved with, and we forget that all of us are human, and that death is there for all of us, and we know not when it will come. So it perhaps explains why it is so important for us to live with each other properly, that we take care of each other, that we care about the people who are close to us, because we do not know when this inevitable end will come for us. And so I would start there by extending my deep condolence on behalf of the government, and cabinet, and the people of Nevis to Ounce and his family. From that word of condolence, let me move quickly. I want to congratulate the Juriston Lywood Primary School, who emerged the winners of the 2019 Nisbet Plantation Beach Club Primary School Tourism Quiz. I also want to congratulate the second runner-up, the Maud Cross Preparatory School, and the third runner-up, the Violet O. Jeffers Primary School. So we have Gingerland, Charlestown, and the great parish of St. James in the mix. Regrettably, I don't see St. Thomas's and St. John's. And so I'm asking those schools, of course, to continue to try their best. But congratulations to the winners, and congratulations to all the students who would have worked hard. I also want to congratulate Constable Carl Gordon of the Criminal Investigation Department for emerging the 2018 Constable of the Year on Nevis. He emerged a winner from a field of 8 awardees at the Royal St. Christopher Nevis Police Force Nevis Division Constables Award, which was held at the Occasions Recreational Center on Saturday the 25th of February 2019. The first runner-up was Constable Trevin Mills of the Violent Crime Unit. He also won the Commander's Award. The second runner-up was Constable Lowell Wallace. He also won the Divisional Commander's Award. I want to congratulate all of the constables who participated, but I also want to congratulate the Nevis Island Administration that I'm privileged now to lead, because the Constable's Award is an initiative that is now, I believe, in its 14th year, and it is the only initiative of its kind in the Federation, where the Nevis Island Administration 14 years ago took on the responsibility of every year hosting an event to show appreciation and to award the top Constable of the Year. And this has become a tradition here. I was able to attend and to say a few words there, but I was very, very heartened and very pleased to see all the police officers out, and I think that this is an indication, continues to be an indication, of our commitment to the police and to the police force who serve here on the island of Nevis. On the 6th of February 2019, right here in the Cabinet Room, we had the signing of an agreement between the Nevis Island Administration, NASPA, the Nevis E&C Ports Authority, and BNL Worldwide, which is a a private company that we have sought to engage with. I thought it was important because we have had a lot of chatter about it, and understandably so. In a democracy, we expect that people will ask questions. It is my job to answer those questions to the best of my ability. Ladies and gentlemen, we've had a problem at the Van Samer International Airport for some time. And I have some numbers that I will share with the members of the press. In the year 2006, we had an annual throughput through the Van Samer International Airport of some 24 passengers. So almost 80,000 people traveled in and out of the Van Samer International Airport in 2006. By 2013, that number had fallen to 19,908 passengers per year. We were able, on retaking government in 2013, to increase that marginally, and we got to a high in 2016 of 22,333 passengers coming through that airport. However, by 2018, that number has fallen to 14,839 passengers, the lowest that it has ever been. That is the reality that we are faced with at the Van Samer International Airport. We can talk about it, we can argue about the reasons for it, but that is the reality. We have moved from 2006, 79,324 passengers going through that airport to 14,839 passengers in 2018. By any stretch of the imagination, that is a meteoric drop in traffic through that airport. I want to put on record that it is not due to a lack of flights. I want to make that clear. Because since I have been the Premier, and even before, when I was Deputy Premier and had responsibility for tourism, we were able to add flights. We now have added seaborne airlines which travels to Puerto Rico. We've added Tradewind Aviation which travels to Puerto Rico. We've added Air Sunshine, and Air Sunshine is now based here in Nevis and doing daily flights to the British and US Virgin Islands. We've added Transanguilla, which is doing regular flights as well. And of course, we continue to have Winair, Coastal Air, and other carriers serving that facility. The problem really is that for some reason, our people are not using the Van Samer International Airport. And I've made that plea from time immemorial, asking our people where possible to use that service. Because at the end of the day, it's our airport. It is the Nevis Airport. And whilst people talk about the tremendous traffic that is now happening at RLB, the Robert Llewellyn Bratcher Airport in St. Kitts, and that is to be commended, of course, a lot of that traffic is Nevis traffic. Nevisians who are taking a boat and going there, to travel out of there, and of course guests who are visiting Nevis but using that as the gateway. Nothing is wrong with that, but I'm saying and continue to say to our people that whilst we do that, our airport has moved from 79,000 passengers down to 14,800 passengers. At an annual traffic of 14,800 passengers, some are saying we might as well close it. When I speak to NASPA, the Nevis Sea and Seaports Authority, NASPA is saying to me that based on their other functions, their revenue outstrips their expenditure, which means, in local parlance, that they're making a profit. But every penny that NASPA makes is consumed in keeping the airport open. And so NASPA, at the end of each year, runs a loss purely because of the Van Samer International Airport. That is the reality. And so we continue to urge people to use the airport. Now, as I say, it is not for me to engage in a big debate about the reasons. The facts are the facts. But it is true that we have seen a corresponding growth, a mushrooming of the water taxi business. And they say debt to, how this thing goes, debt to a Wilkes' life to a soldier crab. Because as the airport has diminished, the water taxi business has boomed. And that displays a preference, it seems, from some to take that route and fly out of St. Kitts. The water taxi business is, at this juncture, as far as I'm advised, 100% owned and dominated by Nevisians. And so I am happy that that is the case. But what my appeal is for us to do both. To use the water taxi, yes, when necessary, but also to use the other ferries as well, but also to use the Van Samre International Airport. And so very shortly, we'll be starting a Fly Local campaign, as we call it. And all they were doing, just like the agriculture, they do the Eat Local, we're saying Fly Local. We believe that there are ample opportunities to fly out of the Van Samre International Airport. Why? We know that Seabourn, for example, has code share arrangements with JetBlue, with United Airlines, with American Airlines, and that allows, and with Delta Airlines. And that allows you, therefore, to buy a ticket to go Nevis, Sangwang to wherever via those airlines. You check your bags in Nevis, you pick them up in the United States. Sangwang, we know, is a hub that has flights, I'm told, to over 23 U.S. cities. And so you can go to Sangwang and get flights, sometimes very cheap flights, Spirit and all of those airlines, Southwest, they all go to Sangwang. And you can pick up a cheap flight there. So 50 minutes to Sangwang, and you have a variety of options to get to where you want to go. So it is convenient. Winair has codeshare arrangements with KLM and with Air France. In fact, a year or so ago, I happened to be in France, and when I got to the airport at Charles de Gaulle, I was able to check my bags from Charles de Gaulle in Paris to Nevis. Because Winair has the arrangement, so once I put the bags on, I didn't collect them again until I got to Newcastle, Van Samre International. So the reality is that the options are there, the opportunities are there. It is really for us to use it. For those wanting to go to the BVI and the USVI, Air Sunshine leaves every morning. In fact, the schedule is such, I'm told, you can go in the morning and come back at nights. So even for our friends and family in St. Kitts, we're inviting them to come over and to use the services as well, because the services are convenient and they are available. And what it does for each of us, it helps us maintain that airport. Now that is one side. The government has been organizing over what else we can do in relation to the airport, other than the constant appeal to people to use it. And so we thought, after careful consideration and much deliberations, that an arrangement with this company, B&L Worldwide, could provide an answer. The parties entered into that arrangement. We agreed that it is desirable for the development of the Van Samre International Airport, and that is a priority for the administration. Therefore, noting that the airport development is a capital-intensive project, and noting that it is in the best interest of the NIA and the people of Nevis to partner with investors who are capable of raising the requisite funding, we have accepted that proposal from B&L Worldwide to enter into an agreement that will achieve significant development and enhancement of the Van Samre International Airport. What is the project that we contemplate there? The project contemplates that B&L Worldwide will be responsible for designing, construction, financing, operation, and maintenance of a new passenger terminal facility, and will attract additional passengers to Van Samre, thereby providing increased opportunities to NASPA to generate additional revenues by introducing new arrivals and ultimately developing a new runway. For the purpose of implementing the project, certain areas of the airport will be leased to B&L Worldwide at a price fixed by NASPA. All costs of the project will be at the expense of B&L Worldwide, and they would be required to provide full financing for the project and have that in place within 6 months of the effective date. That is the date on which we signed off on the project. If they don't provide that, the NASPA has the right to terminate the project. Their job, therefore, is to procure financing within that 6-month period. And the initial phase will involve the design, construction, financing, operation, and maintenance of the new passenger facility, including gates for passengers departing to the United States, furnished with the minimum requirements for which passengers may clear United States Customs and Immigration, the pre-clearance facilities. And that is the intention, to have this entity, this new terminal, approved for pre-clearance. And that is the aim, and so to use it as what they call a hub for passengers coming in and moving on to the United States. The project contemplates that B&L Worldwide shall design and construct and thereafter maintain and operate all phases of the project to international standards, so as to attain a Category 1 rating by the U.S. Department of Transportation's Federal Aviation Administration, and shall from time to time provide the administration with preliminary plans and designs and consult with the administration and NASPA with respect to design, construction, and operational matters. To the extent that the new airport facilities will involve additional runway facilities, the concessionaire, which is BNL Worldwide, will engage with NASPA and the NIA in public consultations and will conduct, of course, the necessary environmental impact assessments. The term of the lease is 35 years. The concessionaire is obliged to show source of financing within 6 months of the effective date that was signed on the 6th of February. Should BNL fail to secure financing for the project within the 6 months of the execution of the agreement, the administration and NASPA have reserved the right to terminate the agreement without further notice. Just to indicate that the construction should start within 2 years of the effective date of the agreement. I have taken some time because, of course, we have heard some views being expressed, some from a position of ignorance because they did not know what was provided for, some, of course, the usual mischief makers. We understand that. I just want it to be very clear that this government is responding in a responsible way to a real problem. The airport has not been doing well. I have looked at the numbers, and I can give you the numbers year by year so that you see each year the numbers have dropped. The most precipitous drop, as I said, was from the period 2006 to 2013, when we went from just roughly 80,000, 79,324, to 19,000 passengers. And since then, despite a small recovery in 2016, we have seen again a drop to the lowest of 14,839 passengers. The dance, ladies and gentlemen, is not paying for the lights. So we have to do something, and that is what we're seeking to do. I've outlined what we're doing at the local level, Fly Local campaign, the continued encouragement for people to use the facility, and I've also outlined what we're trying to do with the concession agreement with BNL Worldwide. And incidentally, it's ironic because while people were seeking to make, as I put it, some mischief from this, we heard the news that Barbados was moving in a similar direction with their airport, also seeing the need for expansion and recognizing that they don't have the capacity to do it themselves. They are entering into an arrangement with a private company to take the Barbados airport forward. So this is not new. I tell people all the time that Heathrow and Gatwick, two of the most used airports and busiest airports in the world, are all privately owned and operated. In this case, the government will continue on the people to own the Van Sammer International Airport, but we are seeking a partnership with BNL Worldwide to develop it. The Unity Government celebrated its 4th anniversary, and as part of that, we had some activities on Nevis. We had a church service at the Charleston Anglican Church, which was well attended. I thank persons for coming out and worshiping. And on the 18th, the Federal Cabinet had its meeting here in Nevis, and later that evening, we had a town hall meeting at the Anglican Church Hall. Of note is that that meeting, a very historic meeting on Monday the 18th, saw the report being brought from the National Cannabis Commission. We have had a lot of debate, even to the point of political discussions surrounding cannabis, marijuana, weed, ganja, whatever you want to call it. And we took a view that the Nevis Island administration had no constitutional authority to do anything in relation to this matter. That if the law was going to be changed, it had to be changed by federal act and by action taken at the federal parliament. The Nevis Island Assembly and the Nevis Island government has absolutely no authority in this regard. That was our position. We maintained that position. And so rather than seeking to create unnecessary furor and uproar in the community and make promises that we knew we could not deliver on, we opted instead to partner with the federal government in a process of consultation. There was a National Cannabis Commission that was appointed in 2017. And as a result of their deliberations, which included, I'm told, some 13 public consultations and 8 focus group consultations, plus receiving opinions from far and wide. And the group, let me just say, of commissioners was had a wide representation from the community. We had people from the medical fraternity. It was led by our CMO, Dr. Laws. We had people from what I would call the traditional church community. We had people from the Rastafari community. We had law enforcement. We had youth. We had people who were into the drug control and drug treatment programs. We had people from social services. We had people from education. And so the committee was a wide-ranging committee which held wide-ranging consultations. After some 15 months of consultations, they presented their report right here to us in Nevis at that cabinet meeting. And their report had a number of unanimous recommendations. That is, the commissioners unanimously recommended certain actions. And the cabinet, in its wisdom, federal cabinet has decided that those unanimous recommendations will be accepted. The commission could not agree on the use of marijuana for religious purposes. And the commission could not agree on the use of marijuana purely for leisure or recreational purposes. And so there was no agreement in relation to those two areas. So that the public is aware, the three broad categories were: 1, medicinal and scientific; 2, religious; and 3, recreational use. On the medicinal and scientific, the committee was unanimous that that should be legalized. There should be a framework developed to create a cannabis industry in St. Kitts and Nevis. On the religious use, the committee could not agree, and therefore made no recommendation in that regard. On the recreational use, the committee could not agree and made no recommendation in that regard. And so the cabinet has decided to take the unanimous recommendations as a starting point. This is a federal cabinet I'm talking about. As a starting point. And what are those recommendations in a nutshell? That we will develop a legal framework for a medical and scientific cannabis industry here in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. 1. 2, we recognize that a lot of people, particularly our young men, were being criminalized for having, in some cases, very small amounts of marijuana. And there was a concern because once they have a criminal conviction, they can't get jobs, they can't get a U.S. visa, for example, and that some of them were branded, if you will, for having had a spliff or joint or whatever it was referred to. And so it was our desire to do something about that. And we were happy that the National Cannabis Commission unanimously proposed that if you have 15 grams of marijuana or less, then you will no longer have a criminal charge or a criminal conviction or a criminal record. If you're found with 15 grams or less, you will merely get a ticket, like how you get a traffic ticket. If a family is found, a household, it is referred to, is found with 5 plants or less, then they too will just get a ticket. So no criminal charge, no magistrate, no jail time, no fines. Now, if you go over the 15 grams, then that remains a criminal offense. If you go over the 5 plants, then that remains a criminal offense. And we have also said that no one under the age of 18 should have access to marijuana. So just like alcohol, we are putting an age limit because all the scientific evidence suggests that marijuana has an effect on the developing brain and that our brains continue to develop until we're about 24. So 18 was considered a median point, so that below 18, the use of marijuana is strictly forbidden, unless, of course, it's for medical purposes. So I want to make that very clear. When the law is changed, if you have marijuana prescribed to you for medicinal purposes, that's entirely legal. There's no issue there. If, on the other hand, you do not have marijuana for medicinal purposes, and you're found with 15 grams or less, you can get a ticket. No crime, no criminal charge, no conviction. If you have 5 plants or less, you can get a ticket, same way. If you have over the minimum amount, maybe I should say over the maximum amount that you're allowed to have, then that remains a criminal offense. If it is that you decide that you want to go in Charlestown in the square and smoke your marijuana, that becomes a criminal offense. It remains a criminal offense. I want to be very clear here that the law, as I speak to you, has not been changed. Some people seem to feel that the law has been already changed, and I hear some saying the weed has been freed up. Please do not go about smoking marijuana because the law remains in place. As I speak to you today, the use and possession of any quantity of marijuana continues to be a serious criminal offense. All that we've indicated is that we're prepared to accept the recommendations of the Marijuana Commission and are prepared to adjust the law to allow for what they have recommended. And that is, as I said, considered to be a first phase. What that we hope will do is free up law enforcement to deal with other matters and to avoid the situation now where people feel that they're being violated for having very small quantities of marijuana. We understand that this will spur some debate. That is the reason why we opted for a position of widespread consultation outside the politics, so that it did not become a political football. And I believe that the competence of the Commission speaks for itself, and the wide-ranging nature of the Commission speaks for itself, and the length of time that they took to consult speaks for itself. And that is the approach that we have adopted. I think that is the best approach on controversial matters in a democracy. For those who say we have not gone far enough, I understand their argument. Some say we have gone too far. I also understand their argument. Our view is that we've acted on the advice that we received and the unanimous recommendations of the Commission after a lengthy and exhaustive consultative process. And so our position is what I have said it is to be, and that position we hope will move through with some alacrity to bring a new regime into place to do the things as I've outlined. I want to make it very clear, because I've had some representations from members of the Rastafari community, that we hear them. We understand what they're saying. But the committee itself was not persuaded, the commission, itself was not persuaded that the use for religious purposes ought to be legalized. And so at this juncture, we're taking a first step and then looking to see what other steps we may take as we see how this is going to work. We've also committed to strengthening our health resources, particularly in terms of counseling, drug treatment and prevention, our education and our curriculum. As you know, we're going through a curriculum revision now for the entire Federation, and that we want education on marijuana to be a part of that. And we have committed to a massive public relations exercise, so that with the change of law, when it comes, people will also understand what the rules are and what applies. Again, I warn that marijuana continues to be illegal today. So I'm asking people to be prudent and to be sensible. And again, I say that even after the changes come, large amounts of marijuana will continue to be a criminal offense, and smoking in public will be a serious criminal offense, and anybody under 18 should have no access to marijuana. So I hope I've made it as clear as possible, and that position, because we've always taken the position that constitutionally, legally, it has to be done in Bastille. So that position will bind both Nevis and St. Kitts, and that is why I've taken some time to explain that to you. We had just concluded yesterday, day before, the 30th Intersessional Meeting of the CARICOM Heads of Government in St. Kitts. I would have attended as a foreign minister, as part of the Prime Minister's delegation, and would have headed the delegation because the Prime Minister would, of course, have been in the seat as the current chair of CARICOM. And I believe that the deliberations there went well, and a communique would have been issued. Of course, I'm willing to take questions from the press if they deem that necessary. We had on the 20th of February a great opportunity. In fact, the entire cabinet went there. I believe Minister Liebert himself he was so excited he jumped behind the wheel of one of the heavy equipment, a truck, I believe. The reality is that we had a massive delivery of assistance from the Japanese. I'm told that we have 2 front-end loaders, 3 disaster management mini storage units with search and rescue equipment, an unmanned aerial vehicle or drone, as we know it, for disaster management, video shoot equipment for disaster management, 2 SLR cameras, 1 dump truck with a pallet of spare parts, 1 rescue vehicle with snorkel, 3 pickup trucks. We are expecting in April 24 fire suits, 1 set of CCTV cameras, 3 generator sets, 240 volts, 1 generator set, 110 volts, 400 pieces of tarpaulins, 30 sets of VHF radios, handheld and accessories, 10 sets of VHF radios, vehicle mobile base and accessories, and we also expect a medical vehicle for the Ministry of Health fully equipped. We want to thank the government and people of Japan and to indicate that this, of course, is a multi-million-dollar gift to the people of Nevis to better prepare us to meet disasters. Each year, we have a hurricane season. Through the grace of God, we have been blessed this past several years that we've not had a direct hit. But nevertheless, all of us are aware of the dangers of hurricanes and other disasters that can happen. And what this does, it makes us better equipped. Part of what we're going to do is that in each parish, we will have a rapid response unit. So we'll have actually a warehouse and equipment available in each parish for immediate response. And that, we're told, should sustain that community for up to 72 hours before the professional help can come. And so that is what we're seeking to do. And again, we say thank you to the government and people of Japan for this very generous gift. Agricultural Open Day is being planned for the 28th and 29th of March this year. It is a very special edition, the 25th edition of the activity. And again, I just want us to reflect for a moment. Lots of things we know in our country take for granted. 25 years ago, a government had the vision to put in place this Agricultural Open Day. 25 years later, we are the beneficiaries of that vision. And 25 years later, we have it being celebrated under the theme, Think Climate Smart, Food and Nutrition Security and Sustainability, for our 25th anniversary. The Honourable Member, Deputy Premier and Minister of Agriculture, has said that it will be the biggest event that the Federation has ever seen. Bigger than Music Festival, Culture Arm and Carnival combined. And so this event, he has moved it to the ETW Park to get more space. And we are asking one and all those within the sound of my voice, to show up at that event on the 28th and 29th of March. The focus is very much on local production of what we eat, and a number of other features will be showcased as support services and opportunities. So, this will be an exciting event. It always is an exciting event when we put the spotlight on agriculture, put the spotlight on feeding ourselves. And I want to commend the Deputy Premier and Minister of Agriculture for the excellent work that he has been doing, and commend all of those in agriculture, those in government, those outside government, who continue to feed us, the community, because it is critical that we feed ourselves and that we do more. I also am pleased that just yesterday we had the publication of the St. Kitts Nevis, we had the publication of the World Justice Project report on the rule of law. And our country, our small country, the smallest in the region, has been ranked as number 30 in the world. They reviewed 126 countries, and St. Kitts and Nevis is number 30 in the world for the respect of the rule of law. And it is second in the Caribbean, second only to Barbados, which beat us by 1 point. I believe that that is significant, and that is why I've mentioned it. Because as we promote investment, as we promote the building out of our democracy, the rule of law is critical. The rule of law simply means that nobody is above the law. That all of us, Tutmun, Saman Bagay, premier, priest, preacher, business leader, rich, poor, all of us are subject to the laws. That's what the rule of law means. No man is above the law. And the fact that we, as a little country, can be ranked by this international organization as number 30 in the world and number 2 in the Caribbean, I think it is very significant. And since we are only 1 point behind Barbados, it means that as we continue to develop, we might well become number 1 in our region. And I think that that speaks volumes to what we're seeking to do as a country in the context of the rule of law, and should bring some comfort to those who are seeking to invest here, those who are doing business here, and for those, of course, who live and work here. If I can turn quickly to the Ministry of Culture, Youth, Sports, Community Development, Telecommunications and Information. The Ministry of Culture and the Cultural Armor Secretariat successfully hosted 3 consultations to solicit suggestions and recommendations from the general public on the hosting of Culture Armor 45 and the general way forward for the festival. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to commend the Minister, the Honorable Eric Evelyn. He's a new minister, but he's going about it as if he's been here all the time. I want to commend him because it is the very first time that Culturama has had formal consultations in this way. They held consultation at the Pond Hill Community Center, the Franklin Brown Community Center, and the Red Cross Building. And the whole idea was really to get the feedback from the public. Culturama is our thing. And it really sometimes, how should I put it? I'm surprised that it took 45 years for us to have this type of consultation. But ideas are what they are. Sometimes it takes time for good ideas to come to the fore. So I want to commend Minister Evelyn for this consultation. And I also want to commend the winning slogan for Culture Armor 45 and the winner of that slogan competition. The slogan is Love, Passion, Pride, Culture Armor 45. It was penned by Vernon Williams of Brown Hill. Let me say that again. Vernon Williams of Brown Hill, the metropolis of Brown Hill, and was selected from among 280 entries. The winner will receive $500. The first time I'm told that they receive in cash. I don't know where the minister is getting the money from, but $500. A plaque, sponsorship for her troop of choice, and 2 season passes. Promotion of Culture Armor 45 has commenced. So Love, Passion, Pride, Culture Armor 45, penned by someone from the metropolis of Brown Hill, Vernon Williams. I want to say congratulations to her, and she receives $500, a plaque, sponsorship for a troop of choice, and 2 season passes for the festival. This year, because we're celebrating 45 years, the minister has promised that we'll have the grandest of celebrations, and we've also decided to treat it as a second homecoming celebration for the people of Nevis. We recognize that we have a large diaspora, some in nearby countries, St. Martin, Anguilla, USVI, BVI as the case may be, and we're encouraging them all to come home for Culture Armor and to have their usual family get-togethers and family reunions here for Culture Armor 45. If they have not yet started the planning, we're asking them to plan. Culture Armor, I believe, is from July 26th to August 6th this year, and so we're encouraging one and all to come out. The Seniors Division, and the Minister, we were in the Parliament yesterday, and Minister Evelyn said that his ministry takes care of our people from the cradle to the grave. And he's so true, so correct. And so the Seniors Division hosted an annual Valentine's program and luncheon for the seniors on February 14, much to the delight of those who attended. It was much anticipated and very welcomed activity for the seniors. It has become one of the highlights of the seniors outreach program. And I go on record today, ladies and gentlemen, as saying that the island of Nevis has one of the best seniors programs in the region. Wherever I travel, people comment on what we're doing here with our seniors. And I commend successive governments because even a previous dispensation recognized the value of our seniors. We stand on their shoulders. We are where we are, and we're doing what we're doing because of their contribution. Remember I mentioned that agriculture open day is 25 years old today? We wouldn't have been celebrating that were it not for those who would have labored 25 years ago to bring it into fruition. And I believe that we are on the right path, showing respect, honor, and commitment to our senior citizens. And I want to commend again the Honorable Eric Evelyn. We've had the launch of Youth Impact 12 that took place on February 20th. There's an initiative of the Department of Youth to highlight outstanding young persons between the ages of 18 and 35 in a themed area of national importance. It is intended to showcase the contributions of young persons to the development of the island and to increase awareness of such contributions. One young person will be awarded each month, and the awardee will serve as an ambassador of the Department of Youth. Again, focus, remember, I said from cradle to grave, we are focusing on seniors, we are focusing on our youth. And here we have Youth Impact 12, where we'll be honoring a youth every month who will become an ambassador for the good work that they're doing. The Department of Social Services, in collaboration with Gender Affairs, they hosted a graduation ceremony for the Second Chance Teen Mothers Program on Friday, February 22nd at the Mount Nevis Hotel. The program targets mothers between the ages of 12 and 21. It has been in existence for the past 6 years and offers skills training to empower young mothers to be better functioning parents. In October 2018, the teen mothers were equipped with life skills and professional development training. Practical skills training was also offered in November 2018 in the following areas: hair braiding, manicure and pedicure procedures, culinary arts, makeup art design, and hospitality. Between December 2018 and January 2019, 5 young mothers were granted an opportunity to have a job attachment. The program has been sponsored for the second time by UNICEF. Very important program. Minister, the only thing I would add, if you're dealing with mothers between 12 and 21, I hope some people are going to jail, because under the age of 16, young girls are not supposed to be engaging in sexual activity. It's a criminal offense. So I hope that your ministry is also liaising with the police to put people who are predators and going after young girls at that age in where they belong, at Her Majesty's pleasure at 1840 in St. Kitts. Character building workshop. In an effort to help curb crime and violence, the Department of Community Development, also under Minister Evelyn, will be holding a character building workshop using renowned gospel artist and former gang member, Mr. Calvin Prodigal's son Wilby of Jamaica, as the facilitator. I believe he has been here and has concerts here, both in St. Kitts and Nevis. The workshop is scheduled to take place from Monday the 1st to Wednesday the 3rd April 2019. It will target youths at the primary and secondary schools and also at-risk youths in the wider community. It is hoped that the workshop will help to bring about attitudinal change, leading to a decline in antisocial behavior and crime. I again commend the hard work of those at the Department of Community Development and the ministry generally. The Ministry of Health, a very important ministry. I am delighted this morning, ladies and gentlemen, to announce that the first set of brachytherapy treatment in the Federation commenced at the Alexandra Hospital on Friday, 15th February, by Dr. Dwayne Thwaites and Dr. Christopher Chen of 21st Century Oncology. This is another viable, cost-effective prostate cancer treatment available to men here in the Federation. 3 patients, 1 local and 2 from Antigua, had the procedure done. I want to commend Madam Minister Hazel Brantley Williams, who's charged day to day with administering the health ministry, and of course the outgoing prominent secretary, Mrs. Nicole Stack-Liebert, who has taken up residence in St. Vincent with PAHO, and we have the acting permanent secretary who is with us, Mrs. Shalisa Martin Clark, and she, of course, is now charged with dealing with that very large and very important ministry. And the brachytherapy, when I saw the words initially, I was a little concerned as to what it was. But it's really treatment for those who may have prostate cancer. And so Dr. Thwaites is not only involved with the screening, which has become very popular here in the Federation, but he's also now brought the treatment right here to Alexandra Hospital. And it again is a giant leap forward, not only for Nevis, but for the Federation, because I'm told it's the first time that this treatment is being offered in the entire Federation. So again, a first for us here in Nevis. The hospital received a shipment of medical equipment, courtesy of the government of the Republic of China and Taiwan, and made possible through the Global Medical Instrument Support Services. Our resident ambassador, His Excellency Tom Lee, handed over the donated equipment to our minister, the Honorable Hazel Brantley Williams, on February 12th. Equipment included an ultrasound machine, anesthesia machine, electrocardiogram, dental x-ray, mobile blood pressure machines, Equipment will be used to provide services at both the hospital and our community health centers. Senior officials in the Ministry of Health in both St. Kitts and Nevis met with PAHO representatives this month to develop the country's strategic biannual work plan. The work plan is developed to align with PAHO's strategic plans. PAHO is a partner that provides technical support aimed at reducing the burden of non-communicable and communicable diseases, promoting good health at key stages of life, health systems strengthening universal health coverage, surveillance, disaster preparedness, and response. We go on record as thanking PAHO for their continued technical assistance in the development of our national health plans. The Ministry of Health, I am told, also started Nevis Move, an exercise class for employees within the ministry as part of their workplace wellness program. Classes are every Friday from 3 to 4 p.m. with Mr. Maysfield Nisbet upstairs the Gender Affairs Department. They are encouraging other ministries, organizations, and businesses to make a similar commitment towards their employees' health and wellness. Of course, an important part of what the Ministry of Health has done and continues to do is to educate and to preach prevention. The old people told us, all of our grannies used to tell us, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And if we do some simple things, it will help in terms of our health and the quality of life that we enjoy. So cooking correctly, eating right portions, and moderate exercise, all of which I myself need to do. So I'm putting myself in the category of those who are not doing all that they can do and should do. I am saying that kudos to the Ministry of Health for leading the way and starting their own program for their employees, and of course welcoming and encouraging others to do likewise. I believe Minister Evelyn has been in a weight loss program. I see him on television exercising and weighing himself and boastful of the fact that his waistline, his girth, has diminished. And so we all need to do likewise. The Deputy Premier needs to do likewise, and Minister Brand and Minister Troy Liebert needs to do likewise. And I put myself in the category that I too need to do likewise to extend our lives and ensure that we have the type of life that keeps us away from the hospital and keeps us away from some of the chronic diseases that we face. We have also started the expansion of the kitchen at the Flamboyant Nursing Home to house the main hospital kitchen that has to be relocated as a result of the ongoing hospital expansion project. And I want to stress that, the ongoing hospital expansion project, because again I've heard some really silly chatter. Some people seem to feel that you snap your fingers and a $20 million building appears. It takes time. It takes time. I recall driving on Hanley's Road when it was under construction, and I thought to myself, this road will never finish. Oh my goodness, look at all the dust and the inconvenience. Construction takes time. Driving it now. Feel and see how beautiful it is. Brownhill Road similarly. We have to go through a period of upheaval to get to a point where we have what we are trying to get. And so the hospital project is there and it continues. We are welcoming some new employees to the Ministry of Health. Dr. Retna Walwyn Brown has returned home. We welcome her. She just joined the public health staff as Deputy Medical Officer of Health. We have a Dr. Karina Silva, who has temporarily joined us as a dentist at the Dental Health Unit, and a young Carice Wilson, who's a receptionist at the Alexandra Hospital. From one critical ministry health to another, education. I want to just give an update on the TVET program. TVET simply is our effort to move towards greater vocational training and certification. We all have a situation here in Nevis where you want a plumber, and somebody say, call Mr. So-and-so. You want an electrician, call Mr. So-and-so. But none of the Mr. So-and-so has even a slip of paper to say that they're a plumber or an electrician. Because many of us are good, we're very good, but we have learned from doing. So we went out as a youth, as an apprentice, and over time we learn. But ask yourself the question, if Mr. So-and-so, Nevis is plumber, with no piece of paper, but lots of knowledge and skill, were to leave and go to America, would he be able to get a job as a plumber? First thing the employer is going to ask, could you bring your certificates to show that you are who you say you are? You can't go and say to the employer in a plumbing company in New York or in London, man, I got plenty years of plumbing. That is not enough. They want you to be certified. And so this TVET program in part is seeking to give our youth another path, which is vocational training, and a path to certification. So when you come out in whatever field, cake making, whatever, you're certified, and certified at a standard that is recognized regionally. And it's also providing a pathway for the Mr. Plumber, whom I've just identified, who's been working as a plumber for 30 years and has all the experience in the world but no certification, no piece of paper, that he or she will now be able to get a piece of paper to say who they are and what their expertise is. So that in a nutshell is what we're seeking to do. But of course it's a major project, it's a federal project, and I'm told it's taking shape. On February the 5th, an agent from FDC Consultants out of St. Lucia was on island to conduct a design review of the facilities, and we're building 2 facilities, I'm advised, one at the Charlestown Secondary School and one at the Gingerland Secondary School. Ms. Neela John, the agent from FDC Consulting, met with the TVET unit on Nevis, which is headed by engineers Lester Blackett and Diora Pemberton, along with pertinent staff at the secondary schools to do the review. Site visits were done on February the 8th. A report is expected shortly. Minister Liebert, who has responsibility day-to-day for the Ministry of Education, he would have distributed some 20 laptops and 2 LCD projectors, equally between the CSS and GSS, on Tuesday at the Ministry of Education. These laptops are part of the TVET Enhancement Project to assist teachers and students in the delivery of TVET subjects such as building technology, EPDM, technical drawing, and computer-assisted drafting. The laptops are a part of a shipment of some 50 laptops, 190 desktops, and 6 projectors, all funded by the Caribbean Development Bank, who is the overall sponsor of the TVET Enhancement Project. The remainder of the equipment will be distributed between the 2 secondary schools shortly. We commend Minister Liebert for his leadership on this very important project and urge him and the ministry to move it forward with as much alacrity as we can to get us to where we need to be in the context of vocational training. In the equally important Ministry of Tourism, we would wish to announce that we held a very successful community tourism workshop during the week, February 19th to 23rd, at the Alberta Payne Community Center in Bath Village, facilitated by local author and historian Mr. Leonard Stapleton. Participants would have gained a wealth of information on the history of the destination, historic sites, monuments, and places of significant interest for the community tourism in Bath Village. The participants were actively engaged in the training and also shared a wealth of information about cultural icons and interesting stories about Bath. They were given a guided tour at Government House, TBN Station, Bath Hotel and Bath Stream, Bath Bogs, and Fort Charles. The ministry would like to express its thanks to Mr. Stapleton for the partnership as we continue to try and outreach to various communities and to involve them in the tourism industry. And just to the good people of Bath, you have amazing assets within Bath Village. You have Fort Charles, which is there. You have the Bogs, which is there. You have the Bath Hotel. You have the Bath Stream. And I am encouraging people in Bath to see those as assets that they can leverage for purposes of earning a living. I would like to see somebody in Bath develop a little tour, for example, because right within walking distance you have what I've described there as 3 or 4 significant sites that belong to the people of Bath Village and the people of Nevis, right within their reach. And so wouldn't it be a wonderful thing if they can tell people about the Bath Stream and they themselves become invested in it, so they help us to keep it clean and ensure that it's in the best and most pristine condition. Tell people about the Bath Hotel. Take people down to the Bogs. We have some chaps from Bath who we've employed now to keep it clean. And anybody who's been there recently will see the transformation that has occurred there in the Bogs area. Take them to Fort Charles. That's what I'm wanting to see, and that's what the Ministry of Tourism is wanting to see by this type of training, to give them the skills that they need to do what they need to do. Public Works, I've left that for last. Headed, of course, by Minister Spencer Brand and his team. and I want to thank them for the work that they've done and continue to do. They have asked me to report that the first stage of the Bath Village Rehabilitation Project was completed with asphalt paving of some 800 feet up to the bridge at Bath Stream. The Public Works now continues to push for completion of Phase 1 in 3 weeks. The Brown Hill Road rehabilitation, preliminary works such as trimming of trees, layout of road, etc. on Phase 2 of that project have all started. The Public Works should start clearing edges of the road from Monday, the 4th of March. That's next Monday. In the meantime, remedial works continue on Phase 1, and the bypass road connecting with the Mondo Track Road should be completed within 3 weeks. The Ministry of Physical Planning also just successfully completed a training seminar at the Disaster Management Department Training Facility, 19 to 21st February, on evaluating environmental impact assessments. The participants included members of the Development Advisory Committee, DAC, the Department of Physical Planning and Environment, Disaster Management Department, the Ministry of Agriculture, the Department of Agriculture, the Nevis Water Department, Environmental Health Department, and the Nevis Housing and Land Development Corporation. EIA's environmental impact assessments are now the way to go. Most projects demand that we produce an EIA. And so it is important that those who are charged with physical planning, approving plans and the like, are trained in how to evaluate EIAs. And that was the purpose behind this very important training. The Nevis Water Department continues to appeal to the general public to continue to practice water conservation techniques at home and at your workplaces, etc., as we're going through the dry season. We're in the teeth of the dry season now, and already I think that some would have heard that we are rationing water in some areas. We are asking, please, the public to understand and to work with us that this happens from time to time and that they can help by washing their car less, not watering the lawn as much, not having the sink running while you brush your teeth, etc. Simple things that can conserve water. The beauty about water conservation, it helps the island and it also helps your pocketbook because it means that you're paying less to Nevis Water Department for water consumed. The Department of Physical Planning has also started a public awareness and education campaign with a program aired on Vaughan Radio between 7:40 a.m. and 7:45 a.m. on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays entitled Planning for You. The general public, of course, is invited to listen and be a part of that program. Incidentally, on the issue of water, Bede LLC, we would have reported some time ago, have handed over the wells on Nevis back to the Nevis Island Administration. So I am proud that we now own 100% of the water that is being generated. They have also been contracted by us to find new water to put into the system. Recall, as I've said in the past, that we spent large sums of money, well over $30 million, to upgrade the water storage and distribution. We're now spending some money on upgrading the water availability, to get more water into the system, and that is why Bede has been contracted. So we have the storage tanks, we're now trying to fill them up. We have the distribution, so we now know that the island will be better served. We're now trying to do the important phase of ensuring that we have more water into the system. And so we're working with Bede in that regard. I think it is not inappropriate for me to also advise that we are working with, what do they call out of Barbados? Caribbean Development Fund, CDF. And we have had a well for some time now at Hamilton that is producing let me rephrase. We have a well at Hamilton which has the capacity to produce a considerable amount of water, but the water has a high chemical contents. So chemical, is that the right word? Manganese and iron. And so we are now partnering with CDF, and I was very pleased on the margins of the CARICOM meeting in St. Kitts to see the representative from CDF who said to me that they've approved funding for us to get a treatment plant to treat that water so that that water can become potable and usable and then put into the system. So we are doing new wells and we're looking to treat that water to make that water potable as well, so as to increase the water available to the island. Ladies and gentlemen, I've perhaps tarried a bit long, but that is the extent of my statement. I will end by inviting one and all to attend the Mashramani celebrations, which are happening tomorrow at Mashramani. Culturama, Mashramani. Well, I don't know. We're having a debate here with the minister saying Mashramana. Well, I've given all kind of name. A Guyanese celebration will be happening at the park. I am inviting one and all to go. It's just 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. It tends to be a real joyous time. And I want to again go on record expressing my appreciation to the Guyanese community that have come, that have made Nevis home, and that are making substantial contributions to the development of this, their adopted home. We welcome them, we welcome all who have come to make a contribution, who are law-abiding, hard-working, taxpayers, and who continue to contribute to the development of our beloved island. And tomorrow they go for their annual celebrations. Whether it's Mashramana, Mashramani, it is a celebration of Guyanese vintage, and it shows, I suppose, the level to which they have assimilated in the community here in Nevis, that they have this annual celebration. And I intend, with the grace of God, to be there with them, and I hope that others will go as well. Thank you. I will now take whatever questions members of the press might have for me.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
We shall not beat you to them, man.
I'm sorry?
Good morning, Mr. Premier.
Good morning.
Yes, we just have a few questions regarding the Marijuana Commission. You were talking about the tickets being handed out. We just want to know, what will the tickets say exactly? Like, will they say, like, you know, you are allowed to do so and so? We just want to know, because you said, of course, they will not be fined if they have a certain amount.
No.
Yes.
I want to be very clear in what I'm saying.
Yes.
The proposal that has been accepted and that we intend to implement is that if you are found with 15 grams or less,
Or 5 plants.
or at a household 5 plants or less, you will not get a criminal charge or a criminal conviction. You will get a ticket, similar to the way you get a traffic ticket if you park on the yellow line or if you're speeding. What that ticket amount will be, I don't yet know, because these are matters that will have to be decided and consulted upon. But there will be no criminality. So possession of small amounts has been decriminalized. You will no longer have a criminal offense or criminal conviction or criminal record for small quantities.
Okay.
I hope that helps.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay.
it does. Thanks. And, of course, regarding the water situation, are you in a position to say, you know, how long the rationing will be for?
Well, I can say that the rationing will be as long as is necessary. Beyond that, I can't tell you, because clearly we are subject to the vagaries of rainfall. We understand that we have a dry spell that is happening now. We are hopeful. If the Lord is good to us, we get considerable rainfall in the next week or two, then the rationing would be abated. But so long as we continue to be in the teeth of the dry season, our intention would be to ration, particularly late at nights. I think that is currently the plan. I think we go from about 9 p.m., 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. So we are trying to ration at a time when it poses the least inconvenience to our people. But we're asking our people, of course, to ration themselves in terms of the level of their usage.
And regarding, let's see here, are you in a position to name your candidates for the next general elections? And of course, can we get a comment from you regarding where do you see the CCM party standing? And the final question is about crime. February 2019 has proven to be probably the worst, or one of the worst months we've had so far. And of course, any comments on that, sir? And those are the questions. Thank you, sir.
The political question of candidates, I think that announcement will come when it will come. It will come when the party decides that it ought to come. And I believe that those who know this party know that we always try to be strategic in what we do and say in the public space. So I'm punting. Perhaps on another occasion I might be able to tell you more specifically. Where do we stand? I'm hopeful that we will stand on top. That's where we are now, and that's where we will hope to continue to be. If your question has wider connotations, then you can come back and say what those wider connotations might be. But we believe that we have been given a mandate as a party, both at the local and at the federal level, and that mandate is to provide for the people of Nevis, specifically the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, for those of us who also have a federal mandate. And I think at the end of the day, that's why we have elections. Elections are there for the public to render a verdict on how they feel that we've performed. And it is my hope that our public will say that we have performed well in the circumstances and continue to entrust us with their confidence. And if the public were to decide otherwise, well, that's the nature of democracy. But we are hopeful, we are confident, and we will continue through mechanisms such as this to show what good governance looks like and sounds like, what transparency looks like and sounds like. And we hope that the people of Nevis will welcome this new paradigm shift in how we govern and have demonstrated what we are doing. And I do not take that lightly, because this is a first for any government having these monthly engagements with the press here on the island of Nevis. It's the first for any government to have made a commitment to be in the Parliament at least once every 2 months. And yesterday we were there because we wanted to fulfill that commitment, even though we got a bit of stick for being there. I think it's important that when you make a commitment, you keep it. And we want to demonstrate to the public that we are serious about the things we say. We have been a first to try and operationalize integrity in public life. We've been a first to pass freedom of information. We've been a first to generate a fully furnished staffed office for the member of the opposition. I think by any measure, those are steps that have set us apart from what was and are setting a new paradigm for the people of Nevis in terms of governance. We have said that this year we are focused now, shifting focus from what I call a good governance agenda to the economy. And we want to generate jobs. And incidentally, I ought to have said it. Forgive me that I didn't, but as I talk about generating jobs, I'm very proud also to announce that the technocrats of the Ministry of Finance have recommended, and I have agreed with their recommendation, to approve the first international bank for Nevis since the Bank of Nevis International was formed way back in 1996. So we are now going to have another international bank on Nevis, and I'm told that they are already advertising for workers. The financial services industry provides jobs that we know that are at good paying jobs, jobs at a higher level. I'm told they're seeking people, compliance officers, and people with banking expertise. That's way above my pay grade, but I am happy that as part of that jobs generation that we are attracting and have been able to attract so far a new international bank for Nevis that will open its doors shortly, I'm advised. I will have more information on that, but I ought to have said that at the outset. So this year we are focused on jobs, job creation, focused on the economy. And as I said, Nevis now has a sign which says we're open for business. And that's my focus. So at the end, it is for the people. We will continue to go out. Our candidates are here, those who have faced the fire in the past, and we'll continue to do that, go out and talk to our people in the byways and the highways, and continue to hear them. I myself, on a Thursday, have an open day. And I commented to someone that last Thursday I saw 19 people, and it was a light day, because ordinarily on an open day I see up to 30 people from all over the island who come. Some just want to have a chat, some come because they have a real problem. But whatever it is part and parcel of governance and service, and that is what this government is about and this party is about. The issue of crime, yes, February was a tragic month for crime and criminality. We had, of course, the first homicide was in Nevis. Since then, we've had a number of homicides in St. Kitts. It is bad for the country when this happens. I have spoken out and will continue to speak out about crime and criminality, encouraging our young people to forge a different path. It makes no sense for us, a government, for us to be focused on jobs and job creation and creating opportunities, scholarships, TVET, training, doing all that. And our young people see all that and turn their backs on it and prefer to go and pick up a gun to commit crime. Crime leads to one of two things. You either end up at the Britannic, or if you prefer to go Gingerland, one of the cemeteries, or you end up at 1840 in St. Kitts. Your time might be delayed in getting there, but you will eventually get there. So people have a decision to make. And if you choose a life of crime, that is your destination. The cemetery or the jail. So it's really up to people to make that choice. We are saying as a government, there are a number of opportunities available to you. At the CARICOM Heads meeting in St. Kitts, we had the Prime Minister of Jamaica. were the vice president of Guyana. And there was a discussion about freedom of movement. And they, I believe, were amazed to hear of the thousands of their people who had found job opportunities and family and development opportunities here in St. Kitts and Nevis. I have a fellow in St. Kitts who's a barber, and who, I would say, I don't hope I'm not being presumptuous, has become a friend of mine, Jamaican. And I go and I talk to him from time to time. And the other day he tell me, he say, boy, everybody here now, down to Granny and all, now live here in St. Kitts. So St. Kitts nice. He said, I went England the other day, me just show them my St. Kitts passport, me gone clear. Couldn't do that with a Jamaican passport. Granny and all, the man bring now to live here. And our own people who are here continue to sit down on the block and ignore the opportunities in their own country. So what am I to do? All I can do is to continue to encourage and continue to say to our people, there are opportunities, please seize them. I talk about it and I know some of you are fed up of hearing me, but we have scholarship opportunities. And you have some families who cannot afford it, prefer to go and mortgage everything they have to send their child to UVI or Monroe or what do you want in Texas called? Midwestern. And nothing is wrong with those schools. All of them are good schools. But they prefer to do that than take something for free because they say, oh, to go Morocco too far, to go Taiwan too far. But look at that student when that student is finished. The student who took a free scholarship for a degree in Taiwan comes back, and from their first paycheck, they start to save towards their house, their car, their piece of land. You know why? They don't have no student loan to pay. He or she who goes to UVI, Monroe, Midwestern, or wherever else, and borrows money, gets the same degree. They come back, they're going to get the same pay thereabouts, but their paycheck is going to pay development bank. To me, it's a no-brainer. The old people used to say, if it's free, take two. I'm not saying take two, I'm saying take at least one. We have refined and reformed the human resource, and the PS is here, doing a fine job. And he and his team are now going into the schools even. Well, I hope so. I asked them to do it. They're doing it. He nods his head. Going into the schools and encouraging the students at that level. These are opportunities in your country. Take advantage of them. And what more can we do as a government? We can lead the proverbial horse to water, but it is for the horse to drink. We can't make the horse drink. It is for the horse to drink. So our job is to provide the environment. Our job is to provide the opportunities. And it is for our people, particularly our young people. So young people, wherever they are, Newcastle, Brownhill, Bath, wherever they are, they have a choice. They can choose to go down the path where they live a life of crime, and that is no life at all. You have people in this island who can't even move out of their village. What kind of life is that? But suppose everybody in the village is your cousin. Who are you going to be your girlfriend? Can't move out the village. What kind of life is that? So we are saying to them, that's no life at all. So you get a fleeting reputation as a bad man. You know much bad man in the cemetery? A lot. Know much bad man down in 1840? A lot. Why are you throwing away the best years of your lives when you should be building something? Some of them have young children. They can't provide for their children because they're in jail. There's no value in it. None for them, none for their families, none for the community. And then when they get themselves in trouble, the poor mothers and grandmothers running up and down need $60,000 and $70,000 to pay lawyer. When they get shot, need $150,000 and $200,000 to pay doctor. Already poor people. There's no value in it. And I continue to encourage our people to use their heads. Use their heads. Take advantage of the opportunity. If thousands of non-nationals could come here and find success, look around. Look who's building houses now in Nevis. Look who's buying land. Look who's making progress by the sweat of their brow. And some of our people continue to sit down on the block. And while you're going to work, their only concern is how they could rob you. And I'm appealing, because that's all I can do, to our people to do what is right. February was a very tragic month for us. I'm prayerful that we won't have that happening again, and that we will have greater calm and tranquility. The head of our police in Nevis is here, Superintendent David. I want to commend him and his team, because I think Nevis has recorded a dramatic reduction in violent crime and in crime generally. The statistics, as bad as February was, suggest to us that nationwide, across St. Kitts and Nevis, we have had close to a 50% reduction in crime with a similar period last year to this year. And so I just want to emphasize that we must continue. And Superintendent, you know you have our support, my support, the support of the Cabinet, and the support of the people of Nevis. Continue to do what you're doing, and continue the all-out assault that we've made on crime and criminality. And I will continue to appeal to our people, particularly our young people, to take advantage of the opportunities. It is far better to earn an honest day's work and sleep comfortably in your bed at nights than to go out with thief and rob and kill and constantly looking over your shoulder because you don't know when your sins are going to catch up with you. So let us continue with that messaging and make things better for all of us. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Premier.
Morning.
Other government officials, I have a few questions here to ask, and I hope that you'll grant me the courtesy of answering all, since that they are of importance to the good people of Nevis. Mr. Premier, at the last press conference, you indicated that the roofing program will be up and running on the island of Nevis in short order. What is the update on that, considering that in St. Kitts, according to government website, there is $180 million in the Hurricane Relief Fund in St. Kitts. And according to government website, the damage assessment done on the island of Nevis was $55 million. And that damage assessment in St. Kitts was $41.5 million. So in Nevis, you had more than $10 million more in damages. So what is the update on that program, Mr. Premier?
I think that is an excellent question. Thank you for raising it. As I indicated on the last occasion, the Cabinet has asked Minister Evelyn to get the necessary persons together through social welfare, social development. That process is an ongoing process. I was very clear that the people who we will seek to benefit are the people who reported hurricane damage to their residences immediately in the aftermath of the storm, and that the sums that we received were designed to cover those individuals. Some through other incentives, the government granted duty-free, etc., insurance and other such, were able to do their repairs already. We are focused on those who might still be in some need as a result. So there's a needs assessment that is being done. The minister has said to me that some people who have had their premises leaking for many, many years, long before the hurricane, are calling and saying to us, could you come and deal with my premises as well? I'm saying that those are not the people that this fund that we received is intended to serve. Who we intend to serve are the people who reported their damage to disaster management authorities. Now, you have mentioned some figure of over $50 million in damage to Nevis. I tell you truthfully, I don't know where that figure has come from. I have not seen any such figure. The number that was given to us by the folks at Disaster Management, who are the principal agency on Nevis, I believe was somewhere in the order of $3.5 million for damage to homes around the island of Nevis. I think all of us live here, and all of us could attest that we didn't even lose electricity in most of the island. There was no water interruption. Phones worked. So the level of damage, I wonder how that number has been arrived at that you're giving me of $50+ million, because that is not the number that we got from disaster preparedness. That number we got was $3.5 million. Of course, that number did not take into account damage to government So we had some roads that needed minor repairs. We had damage to government farms, etc., and damage to, I suppose, fisheries stocks and things of that nature. But in terms of the damage to homes, that number that we got from our technocrats was $3.5 million. So I can't speak to this $50 million figure that you're talking about.
The 55 million is on government website. That was the Prime Minister that quoted that figure some time ago. And
Well,
it's on government website.
Again, I can't speak to that, but if he's saying it's $55 million in Nevis, then it means I have to go back and talk to him.
Significant damage, he said, was done on the island of Nevis.
Well,
that was several months ago.
Again, that doesn't accord with what I'm aware of and what has been reported to us, but
All right.
that's the best I can do in terms of trying to answer you.
Okay, so
And I don't know if the Prime Minister would have said that, and if he said that, where those numbers would have come from, because...
said it many months ago, many months ago.
Well, perhaps
significant damages, he said.
Perhaps so long ago that
$55 million.
that is why I can't remember having ever seen it, because it was so long ago. So
right.
I hope you did not dream about it, but that
Okay.
in fact he did in fact say so at some point. But
Okay.
I am not aware of that.
Okay, let's move
Yes.
on. When will the public consultation begin on the Vance Amri International Airport deal? And also, what are the qualifications of the persons in BNL Worldwide Company? And can you name those persons, please?
The individuals involved, what they have indicated is that they would be issuing their own press releases. I think they've issued one already. I will leave that to them to do. And certainly I would hope that they would come and have the necessary interactions, or you could ask them whatever questions you want to ask them. We are satisfied that we've engaged with a company that has presented itself as a company that can do what we want done. We have also satisfied that the agreement that we have signed gives us the necessary out clauses, so that if that company isn't up to snuff and doesn't perform as we would wish, then we have the capacity to end the arrangement. In relation to public consultations, the public consultations that are anticipated would have to do with the design and the development of the airport. So we are still some distance away from that, because that would have the EIA, the designs, the proposed new terminal, possibly a proposed new runway. All of that would be a matter for public consultation. But I can't give you a date now, because I think we're still some distance from that. The first time frame is 6 months. That is when they have to establish that they have the necessary resources. And if they don't, then we can terminate. The second time frame after that is 2 years. Well, not 2 years, but a year and 6 months further, because they would have to start construction within 2 years. So this is not tomorrow. This is a period that we have agreed with them.
Okay, thank you for that, but we are looking for the qualifications, the list of qualifications from that company. Are they managing any other airport in the world?
I'm not aware that they're managing any other airport. The company is a startup company.
It's a new startup company.
It's a new company, but
fresh.
It's fresh, yes.
Yeah,
but if you understand how companies work, as I've said in the past, people form companies to do individual projects.
Okay.
So, for example, the company that now owns the Four Seasons Resort is a startup company, if you want to treat it like that. Because it's a company incorporated specifically for that project. And so BNL Worldwide was incorporated specifically to deal with this airport project.
But do they have airport experience?
Based on our knowledge, yes, they have experience. They've drawn together a wide range of individuals with varied experience. But as I said, we have said to them that they must be the ones to interact with the press, and so you'll have an opportunity to ask your questions to them.
So you cannot list any other airport in the world that they are
I've just said to you that they're not managing any airport.
Oh, right. Thank you for that.
Which is a different question to whether they have airport experience.
Thank you for that. And can you list the persons? Is a one-man company, 2 people, 10 people?
I've just said to you that the agreement is that that company, BNL Worldwide, will have its own press statement and opportunity to interact. So you can ask them those questions when you have that opportunity.
Well, you do not know figure. You do not have an approximate figure.
That is not for me to engage with you.
You won't engage in that at this time. Thank you so much for that.
Yes.
Rumors has it that the PAP, that's Poverty Alleviation Program, this is the last month. The rumors is out there that this is the last month. And can you confirm or deny, just to put the people's mind at ease,
The truth be told, Mr. Hanley, I clearly can't respond to rumors. I don't know when you say rumors. Is this a rumor that you have made up? Is it a rumor that other people are?
Talk on the road.
Well, I don't know which road. I was on the road this morning. Nobody came in and talked to me.
Many persons are talking.
I don't know. Name me one of the many persons who talked to you.
Huh?
Huh?
Many persons.
Okay. You see, that's what I mean. When you come here,
most of us are looking for names.
No. My point to you is this: you come and you start at a serious press conference where you're seeking to share serious information to say rumors are saying. How do I know you didn't make the rumor up when you were here?
No,
I am not aware that there's any end or cessation. The people have been getting their checks, Minister, religiously. The people continue. In matter of fact, I've seen a notice that has gone out to say when the next checks are going to be available.
So it will continue then. It's not true then. We just want the people to be at ease at this time.
But if people are not experiencing any unease, why are you creating unease?
At ease. That is why the questions are out there.
Have you all heard such questions? Where you all live, Nevis?
Okay, so you're confirming that it will continue?
Yes.
Thank you for
that.
That's all we want, so that they can minds can be at ease at this time. On the matter of cannabis, I want to tie this into the 15 grams or less, or 5 plants will be ticketable. You mentioned that you don't know how much the cost of the ticket will be. You don't have an approximate cost. Will it be $100, $500, $1,000, $5,000, $10,000?
I'm sorry. A reporter.
Yes.
I've said that I do not know, and I'm not going to speculate because these are matters that the cabinet will have to consider and consult on. So I don't want to get into any speculation as to what the amount is going to be.
All right.
It is a ticketable offense, and the important point that I want to bring home is that individuals who hitherto have gone to prison or had a criminal conviction, a criminal record for this, that will be no more. So those days are now over once the legislation is changed.
Thank you for that. Let's say somebody would have been found with marijuana and they're ticketed and they don't pay that money. Will they go to court? Will they go to jail? What?
That again would be a matter for the legislators to look at, and clearly for consultations. At this point, what we have done is to accept the recommendations of the Cannabis Commission, and we've announced that we will be looking to change the law in that regard. I'm fairly certain that the public will have an opportunity to weigh in as to how they see that happening. Currently, clearly, the traffic is the only example I have. If you get a traffic ticket and you don't pay it, then you go before the magistrate, because you have a right to say that the ticket was wrongly issued to you. So there's still a right of due process. But again, the salient point, and I hope your headline will be, that people, once this law is passed, will no longer be criminally liable.
Okay. But what if they go to court and they don't pay or they refuse to pay? Then they end up at jail. Will they go to jail still or no? Yes or no?
You're asking me every time I try to answer you, you start to ask me to speculate with you. I can't do that.
Okay.
So all I can tell you is that the legislation and the cabinet and the legislative process will take its course, and we hope to amend the legislation in accord with the recommendations, unanimous recommendations of the Commission, which we have accepted.
Okay.
So taking me down a road of asking me what if this and what if that, it's not something that I can
because at this time we don't know the amount of the ticket. It could be $5,000.
And it could be $5.
Exactly. So if somebody can't pay $5,000 and they go to court and they can't pay that money.
Yes, but I'm simply saying that you're trying to find out what is going to happen when no answers currently exist.
All right.
So saying it over and over again in a different way doesn't make the question any better.
Okay, we agree that there's no answer that exists. Let's leave that alone for now. Integrity in public life.
Yes.
Haven't heard about that for a while now. Is that office up and running yet?
I believe that if the office is not up and running, it should be up and running very shortly.
In short order.
We've secured office. I think we have secured staff, have signed off on that. We've, I think, come to agreement in terms of the stipend to be paid to the commissioners.
Yes.
So I think everything is in order, and I'm sure we'll have a date fairly soon as to when we will actually commence and have the
So
opening
maybe
of that
before
office.
Culturama, it should be up
I
and
would
running.
anticipate it should be well
It
before
should be
Culturama.
well before Culturama.
My PS is in the back nodding, so it should be well
Thank you
before
so much for that. Is it the same with what do you call it, freedom of information? That's it.
That legislation, that we have some work to do, because there's some sensitization that we would have to do, perhaps through the legal department, as we did with the integrity in public life. Recall that under that legislation, we need to have an officer in each ministry who would have certain responsibilities. So we have to get our officers up to speed. But we'd hope to have this year that fully functional as well. That
So
would be
the
my
officers
intention.
are not there yet. We're trying to get them up to.
Obviously,
trying to find
there's not to find them, but to task and designate officers there and
So
to provide a training to them. Because when you as a reporter request certain information, that officer from the Ministry of Agriculture, that officer from the Ministry of Health would be the officer charged under the legislation. So all of that process is still ongoing.
So that process will be completed before Culturama.
We're
So
hopeful this year. I can't give a
This year.
commitment before Culturama, but
before
I'm
Carnival.
committed to this year that we'll have that process done.
Before Carnival, then let's agree on it should be.
This year, this year ends on December 31st.
Okay, so
you have a firm date of when this year will end,
so
December 31st.
We'll leave that alone until the end of this year. Then,
Okay.
enjoy the rest of your day, and may the Lord continue to keep you well.
Thank you very much. I truly appreciate that. Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Monique Washington from the St. Kitts Nevis Observer newspaper. Recently, the Taiwanese would have donated a sum of money for the NIA to buy a new dialysis machine. My question is, what will become to the 2 dialysis machines that currently sit in a container at the hospital? It has been many years since we have heard about the fisheries complex. Is there an update on it, and what became of the agreement that was signed with the Japanese then? And one of my last questions is, now we have seen a lot of donations from the Taiwanese and from the Japanese. What are these countries asking back in return from us for all of these donations that they would have been giving to us? And is there an update on the West Haven property? And that is it. Thank you.
All excellent questions. Thank you very much. The West Haven property, let me start there. We don't have an update as yet. As you know, the West Haven property was compulsorily acquired by the previous administration some years ago, many years ago, and they didn't pay for it. Matter of fact, they didn't pay for any of the property that they compulsorily acquired. So we have been dealing with that. That's a legacy that we've had to deal with. And we're still owing people money, including the owners of that particular property. And that money, with interest and all that accruing, is now quite significant. In fact, the last time I checked, it was somewhere in the order of nearly $10 million US. So we really don't have $10 million US to pay. We are in discussions. We're trying to get to a resolution, and we are exploring various possibilities. And I'll be delighted to come back when we have had some solution. I would want publicly to say to the owners that obviously we are committed to making right. We can't set the clock back. We can't go back in time. Perhaps if we had that privilege and I could transport myself back, I would say, let us leave that property alone and not seek to compulsorily acquire it with no plan. But obviously that is the prerogative of governments, and that is what the government of the day decided to do. You and I, now have the obligation to try and figure out how we pay for it. So the property has been acquired by the government, but we have not yet paid for it, and that is the danger. We have recently cleared it because there were some concerns, health and safety and security concerns, so we've cleared it. And we're trying to interest some investors in doing something at that particular property. We have committed through our manifesto when we had the last election that would be a natural extension of Charlestown, and that we hope to see a development there with some shops, restaurants, commercial and residential space. So that is something that we're looking at, and we continue to update you as necessary. Taiwan Japanese donations, what do they want in exchange? We have diplomatic relations with many countries, and many countries contribute. Matter of fact, I am now being invited to travel to Romania as Minister of Foreign Affairs to engage with the Romanian government. And they've said that as part of that, they will fund my trip. So they are funding my trip. Why? because they want us to have conversations, but they also want as many high-profile ministers as they can find. So ministers of foreign affairs preferably to come for that particular conference. What do they want? They want engagement. They want to persuade us oftentimes to support initiatives. They want to find common ground where we have common interests. I'll give you an example. Climate change. It's something that the Japanese have championed and that we have championed. This donation that we got from the Japanese had everything to do with trying to make us more resilient to deal with the ravages of climate change, which, as we know, lead to drought, as we experience it now, harder and harsher hurricanes and the like. So there is a degree of exchange and interchange, and that's what diplomacy is about. In the context of Taiwan, it is no secret that we have supported Taiwan. Taiwan is not a member of the international community because China, mainland China, continues to say that Taiwan is part of their territory. And the countries have a choice. Do they have diplomatic relations with mainland China or with Taiwan? Since our independence in 1983, we've had diplomatic relations with Taiwan, and we've maintained that. Other countries have flipped and flopped. Many have left Taiwan. Panama is an example, have left Taiwan recently, Dominican Republic, etc., and moved to relations with mainland China. So part of that is the maintenance of our relationship. And Taiwan is a very wealthy country, a country that has done incredibly well. I was surprised recently to learn that I think they are the 26th largest economy in the world, that little island of Taiwan. So they've done very well. They have technology, they have expertise that they can share, and so they have been willing to share that with us. And we have in turn been willing to support them and continue to support them in terms of their contribution to the global community. So in terms of an exchange, I suppose what we do, we exchange ideas, we exchange support on various multilateral organizations such as the United Nations. If you look at our UN speeches over the last several decades, you would realize we always reference Taiwan and need for Taiwan to be included. At the WHO, the World Health Organization, we do the same. So that is, if you will, the exchange. Japan, as I said, we share many similarities with them and have common interests with them in terms of climate change, disaster preparedness, and the like. And so that's what happens in the world. We go, we have meetings. I know some people look at the travel and they say, oh, you're traveling for, well, what we travel for are the benefits that come. And sometimes we don't see it. I commented publicly recently that the Minister of Agriculture and Deputy Premier was able to identify a young person from his ministry who was able to travel to Morocco for training and exposure to what they're doing there in agriculture. These are all the fruits of diplomacy. And maybe they don't make the headlines, but routinely people in Taiwan getting training in a number of areas, agriculture, health. Routinely people in Japan. I know Andrew Hendrickson from our solid waste. He has been to Japan for extensive training in solid waste. Brian Dyer has been. So this is an example, I think, of diplomacy at work and the fruits of that diplomacy. I say diplomacy matters because I think it does. And our mantra in St. Kitts Nevis is that we're friends to all and foes to none. And so we continue to use these relationships to get advantage and benefits for the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. All the scholarships that I spoke about to Morocco, to Romania, to different countries, again, those are all part and parcel of the fruits of that discussion and that exchange and engagement with foreign countries. Many of our students now are in Taiwan. Many are coming back from Taiwan. All of these are examples of the benefits that can accrue when we have good relations with countries. So it's a symbiotic relationship. They crave our support in various areas, and we crave their support in various areas. And that, I think, is quite normal. The fisheries complex, I think I have made it plain in the past that the fisheries complex is now off the table because the previous administration agreed to do a fisheries complex in the heart of Charlestown. We thought when we got into government, for a number of reasons, that was an unwise decision. To have a fisheries complex at the bottom of Prince William Street, the threshold of the bogs, which is a protected area, an area there where the cruise ships that come send their passengers in, and we all know that under the relevant, I think it's called ISP code, when the cruise ships come, we have to have a cordon, security cordon around, which means that no other vessels could be in that area. That's part of the requirement. So we did not see that a fisheries complex there could be viable. And we did not feel it's appropriate that just because a country says to us, we're going to put something there in the heart of Charlestown, that we should accept it. And so we went to the Japanese as a government and we said to them, could that complex be relocated? And we would want the complex relocated to a fishing village in Bath, where the people of Bath could have access to it and we could develop around it a necessary commercial activity. And we proposed a site. They came, they evaluated that site, and they concluded that that site was not to their liking. And so basically the Japanese position was, we will put the fisheries complex in town because that is what was agreed. Our position as a government that does not work for us. You can't put a building of that size in the heart of Charlestown. It will not work because it allows no room for expansion, for growth, for development of the fishing industry. Anytime a cruise ship is in, you got to shut it down. The bogs are right there. You can't go fill in the bogs. So we said it did not make sense, and that was our argument to them. The site that we proposed, I think they raised objections about the water, the shallowness, and reefs in the area and all of that, and eventually they decided that it's either there or nowhere at all. Well, our view is as a government, it is our job to plan with the interests of the people of Nevis in mind, not to simply accept something because that is what is being offered. If tomorrow somebody said to me, I have a large shipment of old clothes or large shipment of expired food to send, because they're sending it doesn't mean I have to take it. And so our position was that it did not fit within our overall plan of what we want to see happen in the town of Charlestown. And so that project is off the table. However, we continue to have excellent relations with Japan. It did not harm our relations with them. And I continue to engage with them in relation to other things that we can do. And we've now had a multi-million-dollar gift in terms of all this equipment and more to come that we are seeing. So it tells me that the relationship has not been damaged in any way. I paid a recent official visit, as you know, to Japan, and we had good discussions there, and I think that the relationship continues to be exceedingly strong between our two countries. The dialysis machine, as far as I'm advised, the dialysis machines are still in place, still in good condition, and as I've said, the whole idea to have dialysis is to make it available at the new wing of the hospital. I believe that that new wing is providing space for dialysis. That was always the plan, and that continues to be the plan. So in the interim, we're grateful to the Taiwanese government, of course, for the generous gift, and we're going to hold that and use it when the time is right and when we're ready for it. And we have always said that you could not have a proper offering of dialysis with only 2 machines. That's what the technocrats said to us, and that's what we believe. Because with only 2 machines, here's the problem. If someone has an infectious disease, you can't put them on the same machine as someone who doesn't have an infectious disease. The protocols do not allow that. And once dialysis has started, it's not something you could stop and start. You can't tell a man, once he's in the middle of dialysis, that the machine break down, come back tomorrow. So you always have to have a backup available to you. So really and truly, the best dialysis system has to have at least 4 machines. Because if you're on one, you have to have a machine dedicated for those with infectious diseases, and you have to have one dedicated, of course, to those who are just ordinary dialysis treatment and who do not have infectious disease. And then you must have a backup for each, because once it's started, I mean, dialysis, I've seen it at work, and it's really, your blood is taken from your body, purified, and put back into your body. So that's what the machine does. The machine does the function of your kidneys, which clearly have been lost due to trauma, due to diabetes or otherwise. And so we need to understand that the political stunt that was pulled to buy machines and put them there, that we are not in that. We're about dealing with people in a sensible way and providing a dialysis ultimately which is safe and which accords to the best standards. And that is what we're aiming to do. It has taken some time, yes, but that time is really because of our constraints financially. And we're happy that the Taiwanese have come to assist us with equipment, and the hope would be that once the building is finished, that we'll have a full-fledged and proper dialysis center that is set up, and that will work for the benefit of the people. In the meantime, I want to make it very clear that people from Nevis need dialysis, and I believe now there are only about 3 from the last count, that they're being dialyzed on St. Kitts. And in many cases, they're being dialyzed with the assistance of the government of Nevis. So nobody is being left out nobody is suffering for want of dialysis. So it's not as if we're saying it's not yet available at Alexandria and you have no other choice. There's a choice right next door in St. Kitts, and some people go back and forth and commute, and this government has assisted some of those in ensuring that they get the necessary care that they need. So we continue to do the best that we can, and we hope to be able to do better once our new wing is finished. Okay, well, I want to thank all of you. It doesn't appear that there are any more questions for me. Thank you for coming. I know it's a Friday, so I really, really appreciate all the efforts. Thank you to the ministers, cabinet members who are here, the prominent secretaries, and we hope to see you again. I'm told I have to do 2 press conferences this month, so perhaps towards the end of the month we'll send out the requisite notices and again have the opportunity to interact with you. Thank you. God bless you.
Stay connected.
Eliminate breeding today. Keep mosquito